now that I've made a video for each of the different new kits that we're going to get in Fresh Season, I wanted to put them in a little tier list by themselves so that I could contextualize them a little bit, show how strong I think they are going to be individually compared against each other, so you have more of an idea of what I think is going to be worth trying and what I think isn't going to be changing the game all that much. Huge thank you to Koru for making this template on TierMaker. These pictures were not uploaded to TierMaker until Koru did so, and that was hugely helpful, obviously, for the making of this video. So, huge thanks there. At the top of the list, the Zekkofin Charger, the ZNF, or whatever you want to call it, it's definitely going to be strong. This immediately enters the weapon pool of every Charger player, no question. I think even E-leaders should definitely be considering this on a map mode basis. It's got a really, really powerful special. It's got a splash wall, which is going to be extremely helpful for fighting just about anything that the Zekkofin is going to need to fight. I think this is a no-brainer. This is a very, very strong weapon and easily the best kit that we're getting in Fresh Season. Down a step, these are weapons that I'm pretty confident based on how past weapons have worked. They're going to be strong. So we'll start off with the 96. The 96 Deco is a Gal with a wall, which historically has gone very, very well for the Gal. 2 out of the 3 times that this has happened, the weapon has been a top-level, like, kind of meta-defining pick. The 96 with the wall in Splatoon 1 was very strong. The Kensa 52 in Splatoon 2 was absolutely dominant towards the end of that metagame. And the only reason that the 96 Deco in Splatoon 2 wasn't played as much was because it had Splashdown, the absolute worst special in that game. This one's getting Krak-on, which is a huge bump up to its survivability. The weapon's biggest problem is that it's a turret, it's not very mobile, but this way it doesn't have to get away because it has a wall to block shots, and if somebody tries to flank around, it always has the panic button of the Krak-on as long as it sees that coming in time, and then it's going to be able to scoot away to wherever it wants to go and then set up again as a turret again. So I think this definitely has a lot of potential, and I don't know if we're going to see it at tip-top level play. It depends on how the patch notes go and, what happens to crab meta and all of that sort of thing, but this is definitely going to be a pretty solid weapon. And then we've, much to do has been made of the Neo Splash. Neo Splash is basically just a T-Tech. T-Tech is already very viable. Neo Splash is going to at least be viable. Now, whether you're going to prefer it over the T-Tech is a much more interesting question. My guess here is that it's going to be situational in the way that the K-Shot and the N-Zap 89 were, but you'll probably have more use cases for the more supportive one, that is the Neo Splash, than you did in Splatoon 2, because N-Zap 89 had an auto bomb, which isn't great. This has a suction bomb, which is a lot better. So I still think T-Tech edges it out most of the time. That it has a better bomb, it has a faster kill time, it has a little bit more range, and that makes up for the mobility and the painting capability of the Splash, but only time will tell, and I'm definitely going to be trying both to a significant degree. The next tier down is weapons that are a lot less proven for one reason or another, but that I think should absolutely be tried out and experimented with, and that we should see what we can make of these, because these definitely look like they could be good. We'll start off with Tri-Nouveau. Tri-Nouveau is looking like really, really, really interesting for every bucket player out there. Like, everyone's looking at this like, Fizzy Bomb, you say? Fizzy Bomb gives every weapon that it's on a lot of different really interesting options. This could turn into a support weapon because of the fizzies. This could be something that has a sort of like rushdown capability like you might get with a curling bomb, because you can just throw a single fizzy and swim through that and get on top of someone. You could try damage combos with it because you throw out a slosh and that combos with a direct or 2 indirects. Fizzy Bomb is very, very interesting on this thing. And this might be one of the better tacticaler weapons too, because this is a weapon that actually wants tacticaler buff. It's going to be going for a lot of trades. In fact, a lot of the time it's just going to die before it even gets its special. But when it doesn't, and it actually has that tacticaler buff, it'll come back, and the trade that it got, the 1-for-1 trade, the 2-for-1 trade that it's able to get, is going to be worth for its team. There's also talk of potentially trying this out with N-Zap and having a double tacticaler comp, so more of a zombie comp, and this would be a huge benefit factor of that sort of a comp too. I'm really interested to see this thing work. I feel like this might enter into the meta. to some small degree. Rapid plus Torpedo is an extremely strong combination of things. Unfortunately, this ends up getting Inkjet, so I'm worried that this will end up more towards the tier below it. But, I mean, Baller wasn't the most high-value special in Splatoon 2, and Kensa Rapid still saw a lot of play. So, I have high hopes for this one. I'm just happy there's another Inkjet weapon in the game, you know. One day it'll be on a weapon that I would actually pick up. And then I'll be happy. But until then, well, at least y'all get to enjoy the coolest special in the game. N-Zap 89 is entirely dependent on how good Super Chump is. It could be up a tier, it could be down a tier. I just don't know because we don't have enough information to really judge the Super Chump super well yet. If Super Chump ends up being strong, it has a niche. If it's not, then you probably pick a T-Tech over this. This next tier of weapons, I don't think they're going to crack the meta at all. I really don't see this getting played by any top-level teams. But they're definitely good additions for people who are enthusiasts of that weapon class. So the Jet Squelcher players, they are not going to mind getting another Jet Squelcher that has an Ink Storm. Yes, it only has Toxic Mist, and you'd prefer something a little bit more probably, but at least it's not a line marker, and you have to at least be happy with that. Roller players, I don't know if this is going to be better than Carbon Deco. I really doubt it, but hey, maybe you are able to get some beacons out there and make use of those. The Kraken is definitely a really solid thing for this roller kit to have, because the roller, its whole problem is you get into a position to get a pick, you get that pick, and then you just immediately get traded back, and in the meantime you weren't painting or anything, so the other team just gets more out of it. But if you're able to get a pick and then get the Kraken off to be able to survive and get back with the rest of your team, or to go for more picks or something, now you're in a position where you could actually get those kinds of multi-kill scenarios. Now you're in a position where you're going to survive and you're going to get more value out of being alive still. So I think that that's definitely worth considering, at least for roller players. Will this supplant the other kit? I can't say for sure. But it's definitely something for them to at least try out, and it's nice for them to have the options. This Sploosh kit, I feel, is in direct competition with one of two different weapons, one being the Ink Brush, and the other being the Dapples. I don't think that it really beats either of them for their niches, but there are definitely at least niche situations where you might want this over one of those. So like maybe if you want the sharking capability of the Dapples on those beacons, you know, being able to jump behind enemy lines and stuff, but you don't need a Tacticooler and you'd rather have something that's a little bit more generally useful, then maybe you go for the whale here. And with the Ink Brush, if you specifically want beacons instead of having that really nice splat bomb, but you want to be able to do basically the same things, I could see this maybe being handy. All very, very niche. And I doubt it's going to make that much of I was about to say that much of a splash, but then that would be confusing, wouldn't it, in the metagame. These next two weapons, I just do not see being all that useful, even, you know, into the higher levels of casual play. Clash Blaster has never been a very good main weapon at all. I don't think that's, you know, unless Super Chump is like really, really strong, you know, that anything's going to salvage it. It's had really good kits before. It's had some of the best specials in the game historically. It had missiles, it had Stingray. Granted, those are mismatches with it. But then it got Splat Bomb Trizuka, which is a really good kit, and that still hasn't done anything for it. I just don't think the Clash Blaster is a main weapon that is capable of being played at a super high level. It would need a kit that completely carries it to get there, and even then, how are you going to get that special quickly, you know? So, I don't see this being especially good. Again, depends on how good Super Chump is, but even if Super Chump is really good, you're playing it on an N-Zap 89 probably, and not on a Clash Blaster. Then, L3, why do they keep giving it Ultra Stamp? That's not good on this weapon. It doesn't want to be pushing up. It doesn't want to... I guess it can, you know, farm it and throw it like the Mini does, but that's not what you want out of a special. The Burst Bomb, you know, that gives it a little bit more potential to be aggressive. But again, it's only so aggressive. You don't want an Ultra Stamp on it. Ultra Stamp is really weak. Maybe if they buff Ultra Stamp, maybe we see something. Right now, I think this is the absolute loser of all of the kits that we got. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I might read them, maybe, a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully that helps you understand a little bit more about where my thoughts are at. Definitely, try all of them out and see how they all feel. But this is what I am anticipating is going to feel good, especially at a competitive level. Thanks for watching, everybody.